Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Columbia Residential for the webinar, Navigating Your Transfer Options. My name is Kwesi Allen. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a housing specialist here at Columbia Residential. And I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi there, good morning, everybody. My name is Evan Jones, pronouns he, him, his, and I am a housing specialist as well with Columbia Residential. Happy to be here with you all.
On today's agenda, we'll go through the eligibility, transfer types, transfer moving process, and lastly, we'll open up the floor for your guys' questions so we can greatly attack them and answer them. So let's dive right in. What is a transfer? A transfer is moving from one residential unit to another within the Columbia housing system. This process is subject to availability, eligibility, and in some cases, some other requirements as well. Are you eligible for a transfer? If you received housing from your school as an allocated student, yes. Unfortunately, if you are waitlisted, you are not eligible for a transfer. However, don't get discouraged. We do have an option for students to submit an affiliation review in which your request will be reviewed by your housing liaison of your school. And if they approve you, you'll be eligible to transfer. Simply log into your housing portal. You may ask yourself, what is an affiliation review? Affiliation review is a request you submit to your school and or program housing liaison to review your time in Columbia Residential. If you receive housing as a waitlisted student, your time ends typically May 31st of the upcoming academic year. If you're interested in transferring, you must submit an affiliation review. The review periods for the fall is October 1st to October 31st, and for the spring, from February 15th to March 15th. Requests are reviewed by the housing liaisons of your school. So if you're interested in transferring and you're a waitlisted student, please submit your request via your housing portal. What types of transfers are available to me? There are three types of transfers in Columbia Residential, and I'll go over all three with you right now. First, the direct transfer. A direct transfer is when you request to move into a vacant room in your current apartment, or you want to reside with a friend who has a vacant room in theirs. Unfortunately, you cannot do a direct transfer to a single occupancy unit, such as a one-bedroom and or studios. So be mindful of that. Direct transfer requests are reviewed on a roll-in basis, and as I stated before, contingent upon availability. Keep in mind that direct transfer request, the unit must be taken as is, meaning there can't be any work that needs to be done in the actual unit. And how do direct transfers get approved? Once you, the resident, submit your request via your housing portal, the unit is then reviewed by the operations team, and if the unit can be taken as is, meaning nothing needs to be done in the unit, no major work or anything like that, you'll be simply approved. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And if you submit your request and work needs to be done in the unit, your request will be denied. Keep in mind, when submitting your request, please be sure to submit the exact room number and address that you want to go into. For example, if you select you want to do a direct transfer into 434 West 120th Street, room 7AB, please be sure to enter that preferred room in the box. Failure to do so will result in your application being denied. The second option for transferring is groups. You know, the semester's in full swing, you've met a couple of people and you guys want to live together. A group transfer is when two or 3 single students would like to transfer into an empty space together. All applicants must be currently in Columbia housing in order to apply. Once you apply, you'll be directly assigned the next available unit. Keep in mind that requests are reviewed on a rolling basis and contingent upon availability too as well. And how group transfers are approved. All active members must be in Columbia housing. Once you submit the request via your housing portal, contingent upon availability, we'll offer you a unit. Keep in mind, when submitting the application, please be sure to list all group members in the correct places. For example, if you're applying for a group as a group of 3, group member 1 will be you, the general applicant. Group member 1 in the field on the application would be your preferred roommate, not yourself. Oftentimes, students put themselves as group member 1 when that doesn't make sense and it hinders the application. So please be sure to fill in the correct spaces and to provide the correct uni as well. Once the application is received, it'll be approved contingent upon availability. The next option is general transfers. This is by far the largest amount of applications we get. A general transfer is when you request to move into a space because your current unit no longer fits your needs. For example, you had a change in lifestyle, you want to change locations, you want to be closer, you want to be farther away, you can submit a general transfer application. If eligible, you have 30 days to participate in the housing selection process to find a unit that fits your needs. Applicants, excuse me, will only be able to see units that they're eligible for. So say, for example, you applied as a single student, you're only going to see whatever units we have available for single students, such as shares, dorms, and or in some rare cases, some studios and 1-bedrooms. Again, contingent upon availability. Although the transfers are not closed, general request transfers are reviewed in October and February of each academic year. So keep that in mind as well. So you want to know about deadlines and decisions after you submit your application, right? October 21st is the deadline for the fall term, and decisions are sent between the 1st and the 24th of October. For the spring term, the deadline to apply is February 21st, and decisions are sent from February 1st to the 24th for the fall term, for the spring term, I'm sorry. So keep that in mind. And as I stated before, just so you can see, general transfers take up 75% of our applications. Group transfers take up 7%, and direct transfers take up 18% of the total applications received. So now I'll transfer you to my colleague, Evan, who's gonna help you get prepared for selection. Evan?
Yes, thank you so much, Kwesi, for explaining, the different types of transfers that you can, possibly participate in during this period. We're going to kind of focus in on the general transfer process through these next slides, because that's one of the more comprehensive processes that we have here. So one thing that I like to recommend for students is just to be prepared for their selection time. Right now, the portal is open for a majority of students. Those students probably applied weeks ago or maybe last week. And if you are a student who's applied in the last day or two or is still actively applying, your application is likely to be under review or has been reviewed and approved with a selection time over the next day or two. We're just kind of letting people enter on a rolling basis. And so thinking about now that you're in the selection process, we just encourage students to be prepared, think about what type of community or building you'd like to live in. Maybe you really, really just want to live on a street that has less trees. Maybe you just hate trees and you don't want to see the leaves change this fall. Think about maybe walking around the communities, seeing what streets that you like the most, what buildings you like the most. Maybe you want to be in a building that's very close to a Dunkin' because you're so far from one right now. keep those things in mind, those preferences that you have, before going to the selection process. And if you're looking for more specifics about the amenities that exist in our buildings, head on to our website. You can search through our accommodations or explore our residences. You can see the different types of room types in buildings. You can see the amenities, Wi-Fi. Maybe a building has a gym in it. Maybe it has a doorman or elevator or no elevator. All of that information is available on our website to really help you be informed when it comes to your selection time. And so, the selection time really should be a familiar process to you at this point. If you're currently in housing with us, you should be familiar with this screen. The housing selection process from before is the same process that you're going to be entering now, just with a different type of inventory. It's more limited, less available at this time. Our filters are there for you to use and kind of figure out, and locate a unit that really, really meets your needs. Though oftentimes, because we do have limited inventory, your filters may bring up no options. It just doesn't exist at the time. So we encourage you to, check back to the portal, check back in and see if any new units are popping in for you to select from. As well as I encourage you to just turn off your filters for a bit too and seeing, what are all of the units that are available, and kind of picking from there. Our selection process doesn't let you filter by trees or Duncan, but it does let you, look at doorman attendant, elevator access, if the utilities are included, furnished versus unfurnished. So those are all really powerful tools for you to be informed about the decision that you're about to make. So now thinking about the actual transfer process, you're kind of in the throes of it. You've selected your unit, you found the perfect place. You're very happy to kind of begin the process. And so it occurs over kind of a 3 business day roll. And there's a few things to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about, this move. And so your move in must occur within 7 to 14 days of the unit's earliest ready date. So when you're on the housing selection portal, your unit, a unit that you may come across will have a ready date. And so if the ready date for a unit that I want is on the 2nd, that's tomorrow, I have to move in within 7 to 14 days, so about 1 to 2 weeks of that date to complete the process. We aren't able to really make any concessions on this. We're trying to get as many students into the transfer process and getting units into the portal, and so it really does have this tight time frame. And so then thinking about wanting to view the unit on top of that, you won't be able to see a unit any earlier than that ready date that I just referenced. And so if the ready date for a unit is tomorrow for me and I want to go look at it today, that's not going to be possible. We are looking at, getting spaces tidied up, any type of maintenance that needs to occur after a student moves out. We like to get that done before you view the unit so you get an actual, understanding of what you'd be moving into versus something that's kind of mid-project, mid-maintenance. If you are in the portal now and you do select a unit, and maybe you slept on it for a day or two and you're like, it just doesn't feel right. I actually really do love where I'm at. Do not accept the offer in the system. If you're really uncertain and you're really not sure if you're ready to commit to a transfer, I would recommend not accepting an offer at this time. It'll make things a bit more complicated for you in the system if you do accept an offer that you're not actually wanting to move forward with. And so if you have questions or concerns, you can always consult with us. We're here to provide support and advice to kind of navigate this commitment. It's a next step for you. It's a new opportunity. And so we're here to help you with that. And then the move out date for you is going to be entered by us, and it's going to be the day after that you move out of or then you move into your current space. And so business day 1 for you on this move is going to be your move-in day. So you'll get the key for that new unit. Let's say it's tomorrow. I'm picking up my key on the 2nd, and I'm going to have the remainder of that day to perform my entire transfer over into that new space. Business day 2, which would be the 3rd, if in this scenario, this example, I would be handing my key back over to my super from my original unit, and I'm no longer going to have access to that space. And so I'm going to have everything moved out. I'm going to do my best to make sure the space has been returned to the state that I received it in, tidied up, and then I'm going to complete my vacancy and final checkout just to make sure that all my billing is correct. We really need this completed, so make sure you log into your housing portal on your move out date and complete that so that the system knows not to continue to bill you. And then business day 3 is when billing will begin for your new unit. And so again, it kind of happens over this cascading pattern to make sure that everything flows nicely and you're not going to be double charged for having 2 units. We'd hate to have that happen. And now thinking about moving into this new space, reviewing if you have renter's insurance this is a great time to do that. I speak to students quite frequently here, and so many may not actually know what renter's insurance is. Columbia Residential does not offer renter's insurance, but we highly encourage it. This is something that we encourage current students to have. We encourage you to continue to have renter's insurance when you're no longer living with us. It's just a good thing to have when you are renting, across the city, wherever you're living. Renter's insurance protects yourself and your belongings, and some plans will even cover damaged or stolen items outside of your unit. And so take a look at the Insurance Information Institute. I have this QR code here that you can scan and be taken directly to kind of look at policy providers. You can list your belongings and you can kind of see who exists out there, what's it cost, to figure out the best way to cover you and your belongings. And as always, we like to remind students to submit maintenance requests for their unit as things happen, and you're living in a space. Maybe the doorknob is a little bit more jiggly than you would like it to be. Maybe the window is sticking in one spot and it's hard to close. Now that it's getting chillier outside. And so, those non-emergency maintenance requests can always be submitted through the service request website. And then obviously any emergency request can be submitted either through call or text, or through the facilities email here on the screen. That service is available 24/7. We'd like to make sure that we're able to respond appropriately. And if you're transferring out of a unit, this is a great time to kind of fill us in about what you've been experiencing. If, again, like I mentioned, the doorknob's too jiggly, maybe a closet door is sticking, give us a heads up on those things that you're the active person living there. We'll do our assessment of the space, but tracking that stuff ahead of time, we'll be able to get these units back into, the hands of your peers who are also looking to transfer into new spaces. So some frequently asked questions here. It's a pretty expansive process, the transfer process, and so obviously, I'm sure your mind might be racing with so many what if scenarios. And so, just a few quick reminders here. Quasi touched on this quite a bit at the beginning, but if you are a waitlisted student, am I eligible to transfer after I've moved into housing? Students who are waitlist are only guaranteed housing from their move-in date through May 31st of that academic year. And so again, you need to complete that affiliation review to obtain an allocation from your school or program to be able to transfer. So any student who is currently on the wait list, you can see your affiliation through the housing portal. And if you are on the wait list, you are not eligible to transfer at this time. If you're in the selection appointment, I've already been seeing some emails come through this morning about this question, and I don't see any units at all. Is there something wrong with the site? The answer is no, generally to that. Sometimes, errors happen and sometimes a site will go to sleep for a little bit, but right now we know our site is working properly, and we imagine it's going to continue to do so over this next week or two and the rest of the month during the process. And so if you are seeing nothing on the housing portal at this time, that does mean that there's nothing available at the moment, with a caveat here. And so maybe you have some filters on that are preventing you from seeing units. Make sure you just turn those off. You can refresh the system just to make sure that everything is functioning properly. And then also do note that if you are someone who has not opted into gender neutral housing, that may prevent you from seeing some available units that a peer can see since they've opted into gender neutral housing. And so if you're interested in seeing those options, if they are available, you can always reach out to us and we can toggle that back on for you. Just send us an email letting us know that you'd like to opt in to gender neutral housing. Some students will have some questions about, billing. I mentioned this earlier. And so if you've recently transferred and you're getting double charged, what's going on? Billing for the new apartment starts one day after you move out of your previous unit, as I mentioned. So both rents, the old and new, will be prorated, and that's based off of the specific dates of your move in and your move out. And so the system is going to be doing those charges, since they happen so close to each other, they may appear on your account at the same time, but don't you fret. Over those 5 to 7 days, our finance team will make sure that things are reconciled. The system is going to be doing that as well. And so if you see anything that feels off, or if there's any confusion or concern, you can always reach out to us and we will connect you directly to the finance team for any clarification. And oftentimes students want to leave their belongings, if there's furniture that they no longer want that they think could be useful to the next occupant of the space, they just want to leave it. And unfortunately, that's something that we cannot allow or permit during this process. So when a tenant vacates, the expectation is that all belongings that are theirs must no longer be in the space. It has to move out with them. And if they are left behind, there will be an incurred cleaning charge of a minimum of $200 there. And that's just to make sure that the space is being left in a condition and entered in a condition that a student can expect, right? If they're in an unfurnished unit, maybe they have their own stuff. They're not expecting you to leave your coffee table or a couch there. It really isn't something that is also, it's going to be a barrier to our cleaning process. And so we just want to make sure that the space is left how you found it, and make sure that you take all of your personal belongings, any trash along with you. Again, please do reach out to us with any additional questions. And just as a general reminder, thinking about, participation at Columbia University, it's a great campus, tons of student groups, tons of organizations here to participate in. So make sure that you're getting connected with university life during the semester and throughout your time. You can find programs to get involved in. You can attend any upcoming events. There's tons of flyers across this campus. It's fantastic. And then also remember, this is a great time to think about transition within your living space, within yourself. And so just look out for new opportunities. If you do find a new place to live, a new community to participate in, look for those new grocery stores, look for that new coffee shop, find that local Dunkin' of yours that you are so excited to move closer to. There's tons of opportunities across NYC. It's a massive city. And so just enjoy what you can that's close to you.
As Evan stated, you can connect with us via live chat. You can scan the current QR code that's on your screen. You can email us at residential@columbia.edu, or you can stop by the office. We're located at 401 West 119th Street, and our office hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on that note, on behalf of myself, Evan, and the entire Columbia Residential team, thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today. We hope this information proved knowledgeable and you find information useful. Look forward to hearing from you if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for joining us here today.